Hello, everyone, again, and welcome to today's DEKRA webinar on next generation eCall. Before we begin some important remarks. So this webinar will be recorded and will be available afterwards for all participants. We will share a link via email, and you can see that again afterwards. Second important remark, if during the presentation you have any question, please feel free to submit your question using the chat. We will collect all the questions and we will try to answer them after the presentation during the Q&A season at the end. And with this, let's start. First of all, I would like to introduce myself shortly. My name is Carlos Lorente. I'm part of the sales team in DEKRA Testing and Certification in Malaga. I work as a key account and business developer. Shortly about my background, a mechanical engineer with 20 years of experience in automotive industry, OEM, different tier ones, and now at DEKRA. And now the most important block, to help us to understand better the next generation eCall, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, my colleague Fernando Cervan, which is sitting close to me. Fernando is the Connected Car Laboratory Manager at DEKRA, Testing and Certification in Malaga, Spain. He brings many years of experience in the automotive telecommunication and connected vehicle technologies. He is directly involved in the testing and validation of new generation eCall systems. So welcome, Fernando.
Thank you.
And now the floor is yours. I'm looking forward to see your presentation, and I hope you enjoy as much as I will do the presentation. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Carlos. It's a pleasure to me to participate in this webinar today, where we can show you all details regarding the next generation eCall. And we will try to pass from the beginning of the eCall and go to the next generation eCall, which is the relevant and important topics. And we will share the most important information to be in the safe side regarding the next generation eCall implementation. So go ahead with the agenda. In this webinar, we will follow past history regarding the eCall services. We will start with what is the eCall. Now, after that, we will move to a short overview of how eCall works, why eCall is important, and this is related always with the safety, which are the limitations of the eCall legacy. This is the current implementation, and we are moving to the next generation. Why we need to move to next generation eCall with a brief introduction of the services, which are the next generation eCall features that we can understand, which is the new features and why they improve the services. We'll have a comparison with the next generation eCall and also eCall legacy in order to understand which is the advantages and the challenges we need to affront regarding these new services. We will focus on European regulation regarding next generation eCall. We try to show you which is the periods, which are the regulation, which are the test methods we need to follow, and all overview regarding this process. We will also introduce which is the impact of the trans period to next generation eCall regarding the UNIS R144. Also, we will try to show you an overview regarding next generation eCall in other regions. And to close the session, we have a conclusion and try to show you which will be the next step. So go ahead. What is eCall? Okay, eCall is an automotive industry feature that enables a direct connection between a vehicle that needs assistance with emergency services. This is a correct way to provide assistance to where you need any assistance from the emergency services, which is the ultimate goal, saving lives. This is the main important topic. We put in place these services in order to keep alive the people on the roads. In 2015, the European Union approved the regulation 2015-758, where include eCall services in the European regulation. This means that we need to include eCall feature in all vehicles that will be homologated from end of March 2018. In this process, the European regulation includes this system to provide safe on the road, which is the period for 3 years, because we include this regulation in 2015, but apply in 2018. This period is because the automotive industry has 3-year cycle in order to include new features in the process. Which is the final goal? As mentioned before, saving life. This is the European Union has a direct goal that they include new features in the vehicle to keep alive the drivers and the person in the vehicle. Not only using eCall, the European Union include another system regarding to the passive and active safety in order to keep the safe in the vehicle. So, okay, after that, we can try to show you how eCall works. In this picture, you can find an overall overview of different technology that the driver can use in the European eCall, which is the main important point of the system. The vehicle that need to be equipped with the eCall system, the PSAP. The PSAP is the Emergency Public Safety and Assistance Program, and the network. And keep in mind the network, because the network will be the most important topic regarding the evolution of this system. How does it work? Okay, when a vehicle needs assistance because he has a crash or he has an accident or he needs any assistance from the emergency system, we need to know that the eCall system needs to send 2 important topics to the PSAP. The MSD, the eCall minimum set of data, will include some information and specific information regarding the vehicle, the position, the vehicle ID, the occupants, numbers, and some other relevant information, in order to the PSAP emergency system has in advance all information that it can need to provide assistance. After that, a voice channel will be open in order that PSAP operator can communicate with the vehicle people in order to verify which is the status of the vehicle and can to try to provide assistance in the best way. So remember, the network will be the most important point regarding the evolution of the eCall. As I mentioned before, eCall is very, very critical in the European policies to keep people safe in the road. Theoretically, when this system was implemented, the potential services can keep alive 2,500 lives per year in Europe. This is a theoretical number, but we can try to show you this is not so bad estimation, because 20 years ago, in 2006, we lost more than 40,000 people in the roads. And in last year, in 2025, we reduced this number to the middle. Last year, we lose in the roads less than 20,000 people due to an accident. So this reduction is not only by eCall, because we have a lot of other system implemented in the vehicle to assist and help the driver to keep alive. But eCall for sure in the last 8 years support this activity and help to keep alive people in the road. Okay, let's try to show which is the main reason that why we need to move to next generation eCall. When the European Union implement the eCall system, as we know, legacy eCall system, was based in the 2G and 3G network. Why? Because those 2G and 3G was the technology access, radio access, that was most effectively implemented in the European region. This means that if you use 2G and 3G, you can cover most than 19% of the region regarding the European area. So this is the reason that we include the ecosystem using 2G and 3G. Also, those technologies are mature enough to support this essential system, because remember, this system helps us to keep alive the people. If we implement this system from the beginning in 4G or 5G, it was not possible, because 4G was implementing during this period when we tried to put in place the ecosystem. So the network was not mature enough and can provide a good services to the people on the country. So this is the most important reason that we start with 2G and 3G, knowing that in the short place we need to move to a new technology to support the system. We know that in 2G and 3G network in Europe will be shut down in the next future. So the implementation of next generation eCall need to be done as soon as possible, because the information that we manage in Europe, that probably in 2030, the 2G and 3G network will be not available. So we need to try to move to next generation eCall before that date. And the European Union put in place a roadmap to meet this process. So, okay, we need to move to next generation eCall. We understand that we need to do that because this will be only the technology radio access that will be available. So we need to move in this way. This is a natural evolution because 4G and 5G will be the connection that we need to use. All carriers in Europe are moving to this new technology. 4G is fully deployment. 5G is also fully deployment with all relevant variants, and we need to be sure that the ecosystem that will work in this new ecosystem. As you can see in the picture, essentially the system will keep the same. We have the GNSS to provide the positioning. We have the vehicle with a eCall system in bit. We have the PSAPs, and we have the emergency system. So the most important point is that the network will be not exactly the same. This is not a minor change, because this change we need to update not only the vehicle, also the PSAP, because the vehicle need to send the correct information to the network, and the PSAP need to receive the correct information from the network. So we need to adapt both sides in order to be ready to use next generation eCall. If we implement this solution, we will have a greater robustness, increased reliability, and reduce the response times. So in this new ecosystem, we will have a better solution to provide eCall services. As I mentioned before, we need to move to 4G and 5G network. This is mandatory from the European Union. European Union put in place an update of the eCall regulation to include the next generation eCall as official system that we need to follow during the process. So this means that at the end of the roadmap, all the vehicles need to be updated to next generation eCall. Remember, this is mandatory. It's not an optional, and you need to update your system if you has already homologated, or if you need to include your ecosystem in a new vehicle to be homologated, this needs to support next generation eCall. In future slides, we will share all information regarding the periods when you can support each technology, when you need to update, and when you need to keep the information alive in your records. So, in this process, need to be very, very clear that the network 2G and 3G network will be shut down at the end of 2030, more or less. But no problem, because European Union implement the roadmap to meet this requirement. Okay, which are the key features regarding next generation eCall? I try to show you which is the more important point to this evolution. The first one is the network compatibility. As I mentioned before, the network will be based on 4G and 5G using IM's architecture. This means that we will have an ecosystem that will be compatible with the old network access radio that we will have in the future. So this keep working our ecosystem in the near future. We will increase the network availability because using 4G and 5G using modern IP, we will use a network that will be provide services to in all regions and to all users. We will have a faster call setup. This is very, very important because in eCall legacy, we will use in-band mode to send the MSD. And in this case, we will move to IMs. This means that the transmission will be faster and reduce the call setup times. This is very important because if we reduce this time, we can provide the system earlier and we can keep alive the people in the best way. This is very important. The PSAPs need to be also updated in order to process this information and can take the final decision if we send the policies, if we send the ambulance, or if we set any kind of emergency system. Another important point is that we improve the data transmission reliability. This is very, very important in order to ensure that the MSD has the correct information when we transmit through the network. This means that the PSAPs will receive a reliable information that they need to know exactly where is the vehicle, where is the driver or the co-driver or the people in the vehicle, and the current information of the vehicle in order to provide the better assistance. It's not the same if the vehicle is an electric vehicle or is a combustion vehicle, because, for example, the firefighter needs to be provided with the correct product to minimize the risk. Also, we will have lower error rates. This means that the information will be more reliable, and we need to also take into account that the radio condition has better assistance in 4G and 3G. Another important point is related to the audio quality, because as I mentioned before, after the MSD is received, we can open an audio channel in order to communicate with the PSAP operator with the driver or people in the vehicle. This new technology provides higher speech clarity and can improve the understanding and stress-free or emergency situation. This is very important in order to be clear with the information we transmit to the PSAP. And the last one is also the most important one, because this system will be used in the future. This means that we are not in the roadmap a deadline that we need to close this system using this technology and move to another one. 4G and 5G will be with us for a long period, so we don't need to update the system in a near future. Also, we can integrate using 4G and 5G this eCall system with another connectivity solution, and we can improve and increase the capacity of the eCall using 4G and 5G. Okay, let's move to a short comparison between next generation eCall and eCall legacy. Which are the advantages and which are the challenges that we will find. Okay. Advantages. For sure, we will have a mobile network compatibility, and we will keep alive the system for a long period. As I mentioned before, we will reduce the call setup times. We will have a faster transmission of the emergency data. We will have a quicker connection with the PSAP. We reduce the error rates. We will have a better radio degradation condition, and we will support the system using VoLTE or VoLTE. This means that we are using the last technology using to send the information and open the audio channel. Which is the challenges, but it's not also related to the technology, because we need to update to this new network radio access. This also includes with the transition periods, because the transition periods are not so long, so we need to not delay the process to update the eCall system. We will have an hybrid system. This means that we can use eCall legacy or mid-generation eCall in a short life cycle. This means that we need to include this feature, but will be not using for a long period. We need to be very, very carefully with the homologation strategy in order to analyze which will be the timing requirement and put in place the best option to get the approval and the homologation in order to meet the timing requirement and also meet the OEM requirement. And now we need to put in place a new PSAP configuration. This means that the government need to update the PSAP in order to be support this new technology, because if the PSAP is not updated, the system is not working. So we need to push the government to update the system. At this moment, this point has some delay, and we need to push to the European Union in order to have the PSAP updated as soon as possible. The same pressure needs to be done on the mobile carrier, because they also need to allow to support next generation eCall in 4G and 5G. It's not a real issue in their side, because this is technological is open, but they need to allow to use next generation eCall. At this moment, not so many operators in Europe allow this new feature, but we know that at the end of the year, probably more of the current operators will be ready and support this new ecosystem. So let's move to the transition periods, okay? This is basic only to European regulation, that this is making the global framework of the periods, okay? At the end of March 2018, this was the open point to the eCall legacy, based on 2G and 3G. When all vehicles that need to be homologated after that date need to include an homologated eCall system. So from 2018 to starting January 2026, we can work with legacy eCall without any problem. But from January 2026, we need to include next generation eCall in the homologation process. This means that the hybrid eCall was allowed, and we can support eCall legacy and next generation eCall at the same time and in the same eCall system. Take into account that at this moment, in next generation eCall, is only mandatory based on the standard public in 2018. This means that the new evolution will require in the future. But during 2026, you can support at the same time both. And you can get homologation in both cases. Always, if you support next generation, it's not allowed to homologate only an eCall legacy system. So at the end of the year, starting on January 2027, we have an evolution regarding next generation eCall. It's mandatory that's based on 2024 standard. This means that if you need to update or you need to homologate your system, it's mandatory that you support this one. It's not possible to get homologation if you didn't update your homologation, your system, eCall system, to this new standard. This is very mandatory, okay? At the end of January 2028, all vehicles that has an eCall legacy system need to be updated to next generation eCall and need to be updated using the last standard. It's no longer valid use the before homologation based on eCall legacy. If you had an eCall legacy system that has not been updated to next generation eCall, you will lose the homologation. And also, in January 2028, we will include a new requirement regarding the eCall. It's very important because in the PTI, we will check the eCall system that works correctly using next generation eCall, and you need to pass this verification in order to have the vehicle meeting the requirement. This is an important topic. At this moment, the PTI station has not a clear understanding that how they need to verify this process. They have some insight from the European Union that they need to verify and a visual inspection that the system works normally, and also they can and get some information through the OBD. But the real procedure to check that the ecosystem works properly is not defined right now. And the last point is the future. In the future, we know that we are working in NTN eCall. This is non-terrestrial network. That this is a new technology access, radio access that we are working to include in the future. There are so many parties involved in this new system, and this is not included in the European regulation right now. But at this moment, this is the future. We will go to this new evolution in the future. So let me resume the presentation using this slide. As I mentioned before, we are talking about the test method, and I want to try to show you which is the most important relevant points regarding the testing you need to follow to get the homologation. Okay. Regarding Annex 1, this is related to the high severity deceleration. This is very clear that we need to try to simulate a brake deceleration system, and we need to understand that the eCall system works correctly after a high deceleration. We normally use a sled to simulate this, and in the regulation, you can follow all the steps you need to go through. The Annex 2 and Annex 3 only apply to the vehicle and is what related to the crash testing. You need to, normally, we use the normal crash you need to follow to complete the vehicle homologation, and after that, we verify the Annex 2 and Annex 3. Annex 2 is related to the eCall system itself. We need to verify that the eCall system works after the crash. And Annex 3 is related to the audio quality. We need to verify that after the crash, the audio is correct, and we can't understand the sentences in order to verify that the PSAP can understand the vehicle passengers after the crash. Then we move to Annex 4. This is related to the coexistency with the third-party PSAP services. This means that normally the OEMs has a proprietary PSAP that can provide support to the drivers, and we need to verify that this system works correctly, both not at the same time, but we need to understand that they not have interferences between them. In Annex 5, this is only a documental annexes. You need to provide to the technical service and the authority that which is your mechanisms to trigger the eCall system. The Annex 6 is related to the positioning. We verify that the system works correctly using the GNSS and has the correct behavior. Please take into account that we need to verify these annexes using 3 different samples. Annex 7, this is related to the sales test. This means that the eCall system needs to be ready to verify internally if there's something is not working properly. So we need to verify in this annex that you have some mechanisms to verify that the mobile connection working, the SIM is working correctly, and whatever. Annex 8 is related to the privacy and protection data. This means as cybersecurity, and we need to be sure that the information, personal information of the vehicle is not accessible from the other people that are not allowed to use it. And this annex, those annexes are previously in the legacy eCall. We have some minor modification, but Annex 10 is new in this update to next generation eCall. This is related to the backup power supply. This means is that you have a problem with the battery of the vehicle. You have a small battery that you can use to keep alive the eCall system. This is the regulation that you need to follow to get the homologation. But please remember that this process needs to be done through to a technical service and the authority of the region. This means that each country nominate authority, could be public or not totally public, and this authority nominate the technical services. The technical services only can provide the homologation process by the authority that has been nominated by them. Take into account that in DEKRA we have been nominated by KBA in Germany, RDW in Netherlands, and SNCH in Luxembourg. So you can select in which country you want to get the homologation. But remember that the homologation is valid in all Europe. You can use the authority you want, and the homologation will be available in all European countries. Okay, we mentioned that which is the testing you need to get the homologation, but there are another important point. This is related to the declaration of conformity. This is an official document that has been signed by the vehicle or component system manufacturer that guarantee that the eCall system has been developing using the requirement standard by the European Union legislation. Take into account that at this moment you can get using hybrid mode or next generation eCall only. Depends of which way you select to get the homologation, you need to meet the requirement of different standards. In hybrid mode, you need to take into account that you need to meet the requirement to eCall legacy. This is based on 16454. And you need also meet the requirement of next generation eCall. That means 17184 or 17.40. Depends of the period, you need to follow the version of 2018 or 2024. And also, as you follow a hybrid mode, you need to follow 18072. This is specific for the declaration of conformity of hybrid mode, hybrid ecosystem. In case you select to go through next generation eCall only, you only need to provide the documentation that you meet the requirement that apply to this system. The technical requirement were defined by 17184 or 17240. Depending on the period, you need to follow the 2018 or 2024. Take into account that those standards will be updated each period. As far as I know, we at this moment, ETSI has been working on the new version on 2026. But take into account that 2026 is not a requirement right now in the homologation process. Okay, we close the European part, but eCall is not Europe. eCall can be included in some other regions. The most relevant, important technical aspect and regulation is UNIS R144. This applied to worldwide in case that the region has not a specific requirement. So you can get the homologation using this standard. And in this case, the standard is technology agnostic. So in this case, there are no new reference to new test method, because in the test method, you are not any reference to the 2G or 3G. So in this case, you need to meet the same requirement that you have before, but taking into account that you are using a new technology radio access, and the system need to be updated in this case. So in this case, the evolution to eCall to next generation eCall has the same technical aspect, but during the procedure, we can keep the same than before, taking into account that you need to update the device because 2G and 3G network will be shut down in the future. Based on that, there are another region that has eCall schemes, and for sure they are also updating to next generation eCall to the same region than Europe. We need to move to a network that will work in the future. In Emirates, next generation eCall will be supported. As far as I know, the authority is working in this new scheme. We saw some reference to next generation eCall in some drafts specification, but has not an official information that we can use to put in place next generation eCall as a mandatory in this region. In Saudi Arabia, we have the same situation. Next generation eCall is also included in some draft, but not appear as a reference, mandatory reference in the process. In Japan, since they have a specific and private eCall scheme that has a headnet, but they require UNIS R144 homologation as a prerequisite. So we need to update this homologation to go through to Japan. And China, we are working to put in place these services right now. China will have this requirement next year as a mandatory requirement, and next generation eCall is supporting this new scheme. So as you can see over the world, you will have the similar situation than Europe. Okay, so those was the most relevant information that we want to share with you during this webinar. The most important point is that the next generation eCall is a reality. This is right now in Europe as a mandatory requirement. You need to support and you need to go through this new regulation to get the approval and the homologation process. And remember that not only apply to eCall system in the vehicle, also apply to the PSAPs and also to the network. In the future, we are working to help to the industry to put in place non-terrestrial network eCall, NTN eCall, because this will be also the future. It's not mandatory right now, but in the future for sure, we need to include this capability in the system. It was a pleasure for me to share with you this all information regarding next generation eCall. And remember that DEKRA is your reliable partner for your next generation eCall developments.
So, thank you very much, Fernando, for the excellent presentation and for sharing with us these interesting insights with us today. We have collected a couple of questions. Some of them we will be able to answer. If some of them needs to be further investigated, we will answer via email to these questions, okay? The first one I need to read. I will not say the name of the people that placed the question. Hello, it is mandatory to switch to next generation eCall on January 1st, 2027 for vehicles first type approved before March 2018. Voluntary application for eCall, question mark.
Okay, this is a clear question, and this is a clear answer also. This is mandatory to update the type approval next generation eCall from 2028. This means that if you have a eCall system homologated using legacy eCall, you need to update before starting 2028. If you don't complete this process, you will lose the homologation. So this is mandatory by the European Union that you need to update this homologation process.
One more question was, has DEKRA in this moment the license for the CN 18052 2025 on CMX?
Yeah, in case that you got the homologation before, the question is registered after January 2027. In this case, you need to request the homologation using next generation eCall. So in this case, you are using next generation eCall. You don't need to update the homologation after 2028.
So one more question. If we have a very close relationship with our current technical service, but next generation eCall is new to them, can I work with my technical service and perform the testing with DEKRA?
Yeah, this is totally available. This DEKRA is accredited by ISO 17025. That means that our technical reports will be accredited. So you can use this testing report as a reference in your assessment to get the approval. We are working with several technical services in this way using legacy, and we will do in the same way in the next generation eCall. Also, remember that we are accredited to use our testing facility or your testing facility. This means that if, for example, you want to use a specific provider to test the Annex 1, 2, or 3 that require a SLED or a crash system, you can use DEKRA facilities, or you can use another provider and you can test the telecommunication part in these other facilities.
Thank you. One more question. Based on the certification testing scope and transition period defined, are the homologation full process timing increase?
The quick answer is no. This means that we work internally to implement the new test methods that allow us to perform the testing in a similar period that eCall legacy. We include new test system in our capabilities in order to provide a full scope of the testing services, and the timing is very, very similar than the legacy scope. Taking into account that also the technical service timing to provide the final assessment or the authority revision to provide the homologation grant is similar also. It's not affected in this way.
Next question is, it is mandatory to perform ITU TP 1140 audio tests at the S.A.U level?
No, this requirement is mentioned in the Declaration of Conformity, but it's not a requirement. This means that as a vehicle, you need to meet this requirement, but as a S.A.U, you don't need to provide any certificate that demonstrates that you support this specification as S.A.U. You need meet as a vehicle, but not as S.A.U.
Perfect, thank you. Next question. Can I obtain ERA GLONASS certification through DEKRA?
Yeah, this is a critical point. As everyone knows, there are some specific bans right now due to geopolitical process, and these bans doesn't allow us to test in some specific areas. To get ERA GLONASS, normally you need to use a specific test laboratory and test technical services, but we have an agreement with one provider that allow us to get the ERA GLONASS approval and homologation using labs and technical service that are not in any banned region. So you can get the approval to ERA GLONASS with DEKRA without any problem.
Perfect, Fernando. So for vehicles already homologated with legacy eCall and that are being updated to new generation or next generation eCall, it is mandatory to support hybrid eCall mode?
It's not mandatory. This means that you can have an eCall system that only supports next generation eCall. But if your eCall system supports both legacy and also next generation eCall, you need to go through hybrid mode to get the homologation process.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I would like to use the last minute to share with you. Can you move to the next page? Our contact. Feel free to, of course, to place more questions via email or however you want. I see that at least 2 or 3 questions has not been answered. You will get a proper answer after the webinar. Remember, this has been recorded also with our technical problems. And you will receive the link with the presentation and with the webinar itself. And I want to thank you all of you for your participation. And I hope it has been helpful for you and will support you for the future. Thank you, Fernando. Also to you.
Thank you so much, Carlos. In case you need any other needs, please contact us. We will be more than happy to support in this new process regarding next generation eCall. Okay.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.